Hey, I'm here to give you feedback on your run. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to DM me directly or ping me in your RIP thread. You can be scanning more. Like this little deal here. Like you scan initially for direction, but like it could have been that chunk and you could have found that out like right here as you're moving into the chunk. Like it could be any chunk on the diagonal and it just so happens to probably be the furthest one. Since that's not it. It has to be this one. Definitely work on your BT scans. Little bit of scuffed looting, but that's okay. I do want to shout out a bit of tech, though. So, I'll play it with audio for once. That little sound right there, like... Actually, you can also just see the bubbles as well. Just listen. That is additional air going into this little bubble chart here. That I think is a super underrated piece of tech. It's kind of ambiguous whether or not it's good compared to like mining at a higher block. But I think in this case especially, like just getting the extra air, since you don't really know how deep it is, how deep the BT is really, really good. Also, I assume that you already knew that, but I just wanted to point out that little piece of tech. What the heck are we doing? Are we just staring into the ocean? Okay, you're flubbing the TNT thing here a little bit. Place pressure plate, stack with TNT, throw any item on it. Could be the other TNT, could be literally anything. All of these items will activate the heavy pressure plate. Not a fan of the gold shovelcraft and compared to a diamond one, but that's to each their own. Also, shout out a wood axe craft here. I think it would actually be really good, so that way you don't have to get the stone. Like, yeah, the stone's right there, but I think wood axe is way more underrated than people give it credit for, because you're really not using any weapon pre-bastion, and if you are, something's wrong, right? Unless it's for gathering wood, but you don't need to do that, right? Like, just fast forward a little bit. Your axe has not taken any... Yeah, it hasn't really taken any damage until you hit a blaze. Which is, like, kind of the reason why I'm pointing it out, right? And you'll get iron post-bastion, making it a little bit better as well. Or making the iron axe, like, an available craft. By the way, I haven't seen anything in this run. So it's just, like, lucky that that happened. Hello, Stables Bastion. I think we just saw a fort. I'm gonna try to hit the frame. Is that not fort? That may be, yeah, that's just fort. That's a really nice seed. It's kind of a crazy decision here. Okay, this to me still looks open. Because, like, this is just all, like, this all just looks pretty flat, right? That and, like, boating down to, I think it was this ledge, is just worse than, like, placing a block and, like, jumping for it, right? And then, like, boating down as well. Like, this entire thing, getting into the boat, getting out of the boat, falling in the boat is just all slower than just jumping over it. You take no fall damage the same. This is where you do need to boat, or at least boat clutch. Depends on how consistent you are with that. Okay. I'm kind of confused right now because, like, right here you have, like, an easy enter into the bastion. So I'm assuming that you get that, yeah. Like, that's the reason that you'd go down here, right? Like, right here you have a decision to make. Continue over here or go down here. The reason why I'm confused is, like, right here you have just an easy in, like an easier in, than going up and then running across. That's like mildly riskier, but because you have gold, that and pigs just aren't as prevalent in like this part of the bastion, and they won't aggro as easy just because of how scuffed this part of the bastion is. Like they're basically not a non-issue, but it's a low issue, right? And hogs, especially if you know how to KB, like KB stun with your FNS. Dugile does this all the time on bridge bastions, by the way. But if you know how to like lock your KB using a FNS, like hogs are also a non-issue. And it's just the HP that you take from the FNS. And maybe the hogs, I can't remember how it works exactly. But either way, like, this is just a better angle for what you're trying to do here. Like, you're going up and then down when you could just be going straight on, right? The other reason why this is confusing is there's like, really good routes that can start from this chest, right? Like, I'm assuming that, like, mindset because of this is playing gap, which it shouldn't be for RSG because that's just a triple. You can tell because of this basalt. But since the thing, like, the mindset's gap, like, I don't see why you're not manhunting off of this chest, or if it were a single here, like, why you aren't grabbing that chest as well. Because, like, ideally, you're playing for that to be a good gap, which, like, half the time it is. You can just manhunt the pigs there, and then loot this bottom chest by digging through the wall diagonally. Like, this chest is, like, super easily overlapped, and you also get this chest as well. Oh dear, are we having a meltdown? Yeah, we're just kind of lost in the sauce. It looks like we're trying to, like, avoid damage at all costs for some reason, when, like, Heart and a half to hogs there. Half a heart to fall damage. Like, the heart and a half to a hog is not as bad as, like, the... Sorry. The amount of damage that we've taken from fall damage is, like, slower than just taking the damage that we took from... that we would have taken from the pigs. Especially if we had the gold tossed down. Also, take the Gilded Blackstone. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, because they've all been distracted. Also, you're burning, like, that gold trade was just burned. I'd still seriously learn how to manhunt off of the lantern chest up there. It's just super fucking good. And the other thing is like, now you've also set up this part of it to where, like, you check for the other gap. If the other gap's available, you play off of that. Well, I guess you don't like, then you have a choice of gap, but I'd play off of that one just because the route will probably start faster. But it also gives you that advantage to do what I said earlier and manhunt off of that lantern chest. You should be, like, all of the setup's totally fine. You should be breaking this block after you've broken the other blocks. Like, the gold blocks, I mean. So that way you can start routing the pig pathfinding with the gold block breaks as well. Also give him the gold. Like, you have entire blocks that you're just sitting on for no reason. Like, those guys are almost done trading, if not done trading. No, they're done trading. Actually, another rare sound moment. Oh my god, they're not even done trading. Holy shit. Well, never mind. I still think that you could just craft the gold there and be totally fine. I've been talking to people about this. The more, like, I think about it, the more I think that it's just totally fine to break this one and then break the block here as, like, a faster way to do it, because, yeah, you don't have to break anything here, but, like, it's really time neutral by the movement, and it's just a faster leave as well. This is a great opportunity to start crafting, like, literally everything you'll need for the run ever. Like, blaze bed. I know that you have the TNT, but the blaze bed would still be good here. Coarse dirt, especially. Toss out the FNS or some shit. I don't know. Also, we still have, like... We're leaving this bastion checking one chest out of the 6 available, still. 6 available minimum. We don't know if the other gap is good or bad. do dynamic here. Like, you're going from 5 to 6 and raising it. Like, okay, two things here. Entering the fort on low RD is totally fine if you're going to do dynamic. And if you're going to do dynamic, you need to start on 6, not 5. The reason for that is that way, like, you can then restrict, like, the spawning radius once you're actually in it for it to, for like, the blazes and everything to spawn closer. Also, on the bad gap, it's, like, way less necessary to do that. However, once it turns warped, it just is better. But the thing that, like, really confuses me right now is that you're cranking RD right here when, like, you should be dropping down to 4 if you're going to do a dynamic fight, right? But if we're going to try to play for spawner, we shouldn't have lowered it at all and, like, looked for spawner. Double critting like this is just slower. So let's just watch this frame by frame. So crit 1, totally fine. That's a different blaze, but still a different blaze. However, by this moment, okay, like right here. Here or here. Like, you're... Oh, you don't have, like, the helpful milliseconds here. But, like, let's just say right here, just to give you as late a chance as possible. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames that you're wasting by just, like, not hitting it at the correct time, right? Which I'm thinking that, like, because you're going for a crit, you're just mistiming stuff that you could just, like, have an easier time timing if you're not double critting. And you do it on all of these, so all of that is just time loss. Which is crazy because you now have, like, the blind and everything, right? Like, you go, like, it's 7 frames per blaze that you killed, and you killed, like, 6 or 7 of them. I don't even know how many you killed there. That's how quick the split was. So thankfully it's not, like, tons of time loss, but it's still time loss. I wouldn't craft all my eyes there. With 14, like, it could be a 3-eye. Like, you could hit the, like, 10% chance or some shit. 8% chance, I think, actually. And have it be a 3-eye, and then you just have 0 pearls, right? But if that same 3-eye you had crafted all of your eyes on, you've essentially crafted 15 pearls without even, 15 eyes without even knowing it. And in a 14 pearl situation, that's not super ideal. Obviously, it doesn't matter as much if you're just, like, juiced with pearls. But in this situation, I just don't think that you need to craft all of them. You can extend the boat on water. Like, place it instead of the soul sand. Holy shit. He hit the blind. Play for the one eye. Oh. You need to be getting to the chords as well. Like, just walking towards the chords. Because, like, if you're heading in the positive... Like, if you're heading in one direction, you need to be, like, moving diagonally slightly to get to the other chord. Instead of, like, walking forward and then, like, breaking your neck by turning the other way. Okay, this is like the riskiest way to do this. So when you're digging down like this, you can do one of three things. One is what you end up doing, which is the water bucket clutch. Totally fine on most strongholds. However, when the floor isn't actually floor and you're falling through, you could die by that. There's a ancient at this point clip where K4 just falls through the middle of the stronghold. I think actually with XQC, now that I think about it. And then they both just die because they went for like a normally safe but like objectively the most risky play here. For like no reason. The second thing is, since you're on 4-4 here, what you can do is you can hold 2 direction keys, and you can just eat the fall damage of, like, whatever block that you, like, go to, right? So for me, I hold W and D, right? And what that would mean for this one is I'd be going this direction, right? And the highest block out of these 3 blocks is this one. Which means that I actually made a really good choice, and I'm taking the least amount of fall damage out of all of the options, right? However, here's the other option. So positive Z, this is 4-5, right? This is 4-3. This is 5-4. This is 3-4. If any of your like single, like one of these X or Z coordinates need to be 4, and then these will all be solid blocks, and then you can just water bucket clutch off of that. Obviously the timing will be slightly different, but you're also not taking tons of fall damage even if you go down here, right? And that's also the most time that you have to prepare. So it's either you're not taking tons of fall damage, you're taking like a bit of fall damage, or you're just like water bucket clutching off of it. Either way, what you did here was objectively like the riskiest way that you could have done this. Also, getting back spike here, super inspirational for that reason. Uh-oh. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, we could do 0 still. Like, we could pearl clip. I mean, shit, we still might. Okay, we're not. But, like, we could still pearl clip and, like, get to, like, a front dragon really easily. Back dragon would be a little bit more difficult, but still technically hittable, depending on the tower. Obviously, the other thing is like, we just didn't have any explosives crafted. Like, we're just tossing shit out. kind of like sitting with like a lot of shit uncrafted, which is totally fine because the fort, we didn't really have any overlap time because like we got a couple of like one or two rods on the way to the spawner, and when we got to the spawner we had 0 overlap time because every wave we killed another spawned, and it was just a fast split overall. The feedback there would be to craft between hits, but I understand if you don't want to do it. Like craft the wool, the glowstone, the nether brick, whatever, between hits. But that's not here nor there. That's just like overlap time, right? However, like you just didn't really ever have a time to like slap the crafting table down and craft. That wouldn't have been like time loss. But like you could have done it on your blind. You could have done it right here. You could have done it presumably in the fort before the blind, but either way, like you need to craft explosives before you enter, unless you're trying to play for perch, which like really shouldn't be the thought process in this situation, because again, you just craft half your eyes, see that like once you get to the portal frame, you have an eye in the frame already. Or no, you have 2, don't you? Yeah, you enter in with an eye. Yeah, you have 2 pearls in the frame already. That means that you can pearl clip into like any back dragon. Like you just had 0 this run and like didn't go for it at all. So this essentially was like a 2.5 minute endgame by the looks of it, or like blind to end split, which is crazy. Off of a like 7-minute blind, and it seems like with 0, this could have sub 10 for sure. Had the like end game been played slightly better or slightly differently, off of a 5-minute fort, 5:30 fort. Wow, 5:35 fort. That's insane pace ramping. Yeah, I think the big pieces of feedback is pre-bastion terrain management into like how to like route the bastion before you go to the like actual routing part of it, right? Into what's it called? Like fort decision making into into the stuff I've already talked about in the end game. Yeah, I think that's everything.